Welcome to USA Football's Coach and Coordinator Podcast, where top football coaches from around the country share their stories, philosophies, concepts, and strategies to help you get better on and off the field. Now, here's your host, Keith Grabowski.
Hey, coaches, before we get going today, I just wanted to thank you for all you've been doing to support this podcast, and we have an incredible lineup coming up here. We have just about every major college conference represented. We have a ton of FBS coaches, Division II coaches, Division III coaches, some great high school football coaches coming on the podcast to share with you and help you grow professionally during this time. I really appreciate all of you asking your questions on Twitter. Please follow me at Coach K. Grabowski for our daily updates on our guests and your opportunity to ask questions. We will read them on the show and attribute those to you. So please contribute to the show as much as you can. I also want to talk to you a little bit about our football development model, which is something we've rolled out here at USA Football. And this is really for you to be able to help your youth football programs develop. It's about a long-term athlete development plan. It's something that comes off of the American development model, which is something that the USOC has put together. The idea is that we're able to teach skills in a progression starting at the youngest ages. We're also looking at the different game types we have, whether that's flag, which is non-contact, limited contact games like padded flag or tackle bar, and full contact, and the right progressions for contact teaching there as well. Be sure to check out all we do at footballdevelopment.com and check out what we're doing with the FDM, the football development model, at usafootball.com/FDM. usafootball.com. It's always good to get the defensive guys on the podcast, and joining me today is his third appearance on the Coaching Coordinator podcast, defensive coordinator at Brockport. And Brockport has been doing a phenomenal job here under his leadership of stopping the run. 2017, they were number 3 in Division III at 54 yards. In 2018, they were number 1 in all of college football at 6.8 yards, and in 2019, 35.1 yards. And again, if you're wondering, that is yards per game. Actually, going into the last game in 2018, they had held their opponents to a negative yard rush total per game. Just an incredible job here. And he's talked about that before on the podcast and stopping the run. And today we're going to focus on third and long, because the result of being somebody who could stop the run is you do end up with a lot of those third and long situations. So Coach is going to talk to us about his sticks coverage for third and long. And we're happy to have him here again, defensive coordinator at Brockport, Mike Fox. Mike, great to have you back.
Hey, thanks for having me, Keith, again. Been locked up in the house for a few weeks, so it's great to talk some football. And I'm up in my home office, up in my bedroom, so excited to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you, and again, appreciate you taking this time during all these adjustments. And it's strange times, but I like that coaches are making the most out of this. I like that guys like you are taking time to share with coaches, and the spirit of this, I think, has been uplifting, that you see people helping each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been trying to reach out to coaches that I know, and just kind of spring ball's obviously been canceled, so it creates a different opportunity to kind of network with some other guys who are in the same situation. I think everyone in the world is, football wise in the same situation. So it's been a real neat thing to kind of connect with some different coaches that you might not talk to. And I've had a chance to talk to a lot of different guys from high school and college, and just kind of share ideas and kind of do I guess you'd say a virtual clinic meeting or visit, which is, you've got the opportunity to meet a lot of different coaches from really all over the country. So this is another great opportunity. I appreciate you having me on for this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Coach, let's dig right into it here. As I said in the introduction, you guys have just been phenomenal in being a great run-stop defense. I know, and we've talked in the past, pressure is part of that. I think we talked about what's your base thing you install, and you said pressure. So, again, that we'll link back to that one in our show notes. But the third and long now, and looking at that, let's start with philosophy and what your thoughts are in third and long, and how you approach it as a defense. We heard about all the pressure early on, but what does that look like for you on third and long?
Philosophy, I hate to say it, but it doesn't really change all that much. A lot of guys, one of the questions I get about third long or even third and really long. And it goes back to our first down philosophy. We want to try and get guys in off schedule and in a negative situation, whether it's a tackle for loss or it's a 1 yard gain, and get guys in second and long and eventually get them into third and long. And it doesn't stop from there. Guys will say, well, coach, what if it's 3rd and 15 or whether it's 3rd and 20? My answer to them is let's get them in 4th and 25. You know what I mean? Because not only does it just reiterates what your philosophy is on defense, but when you've got an offense in 3rd and 10, and all of a sudden you get after them and you sack them for a 5, 6, 7 yard loss, not only are you putting ourselves in better field position, but as that happens throughout the game, it starts to wear down on them mentally. You know what I mean? And, our philosophy on third down is we want to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand as quick as humanly possible. So, our base defense, the first thing we install would be our 5-man pressures. And primarily we're going to do that in some type of percentage, whether it be 80, 85% on first and second down. Really, when it comes to third and long, we don't play a lot of cover zero, in our base defensive downs, but we're definitely going to play a lot of it on that third and long. And kind of the way we do it is, if you ask me if we're going to play press man cover zero and really get after it and be aggressive, bump and run, I'm going to be honest, I'm up in the press box biting my nails because I'm going to be so nervous about that. I don't want to let up a big one on third and 10, 3rd and 9. So we're going to play almost an off man technique and really just kind of let them complete a short yardage pass, and we're going to rally up and tackle. And there it just kind of works on your fundamentals of getting your eyes in the right spot and rallying to the football, running to the football, being a great fundamental defense. And finally, when you get there, wrapping up and making a great tackle and, allowing them to gain 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards, as long as it doesn't get them past the sticks, because that's the number one thing you want to do is, don't let them get to the sticks and obviously just get off the field. So that's our philosophy on third down. It doesn't change. We might just bring another guy or two, again, just trying to get that ball out of the quarterback's hand as soon as possible.
And Coach, for your sticks coverage for our guys that are out there, on this audio format, if you could just describe, starting with the alignment here and, the base, I guess, principles behind this.
So let's say you're in a 2x2 set, 10 personnel. If you're going to look at us, if it's 3rd and 10, you're going to see really all 4 of our defensive backs, our 2 corners and our 2 safeties, sitting at about 9.5, somewhere right around there, flat-footed, 4 across. And you talk about, disguising. If you watch us on film, you have a great idea what we're going to do on third down, and we're going to line up there, and we're not going to try and disguise it, I guess you'd say. But it puts your quarterback and your offensive coordinator to a decision. You know what we're doing, but how are you going to attack that? Now, we get a variety of different things, but one of the quickest things we're going to get, and one of the most things we see every game is quick slants, quick screens, quick things like that where we can rally up. So we're going to have 4 guys sitting at the sticks, usually about a yard in front, flat-footed, and their eyes are going to be on the quarterback. You probably think I'm crazy, and most people say, well, Coach, you're playing man coverage. Why would your eyes be on the quarterback? Well, that is the advantage of playing at that sticks alignment. So we're going to, since we are at 9, 8, 10 yards off, depending whatever it is, that gives us the opportunity to read the quarterback. And we're looking for one thing, and that's quick game. All right. So if it's quick game, that ball is out of his hands immediately. We're going to rally to the football, and we should have, 8 sets of eyes, 4 guys, 8 eyes flying to that football right now. So normally we're going to bring anywhere between 6 and 7 guys up on the line of scrimmage. We might not have a guy designated for the back, or we might bring 7 and have some type of peel rules and some type of spy for screens. But normally we're going to have all 6 or 7 guys on the line of scrimmage. And again, we're trying to get to that quarterback as fast as possible and let him complete it.
Support for this episode comes from Modern Football Technology. Modern Football Technology provides real-time opponent tendencies and self-scout while eliminating manual data entry into Huddle, DV Sport, and Exos. If you're tired of tools that are time-consuming to learn and perform inconsistently at best, then we recommend Modern Football for a fresh perspective.
Schedule a demo today at teammofo.com to see a battle-tested tool that's proven to perform and deliver value. Mention Coach and Coordinator Podcast or use the coupon code CC10 to receive 10% off your first year. And listen to our recent episode featuring Folsom High School defensive coordinator Jordan Ersick to learn more about how the 2023 California State Champion uses modern football to dominate their opponents.
So, Coach, with that, obviously, there's going to be some techniques that are specific to this. I know you talked about playing flat foot, but the techniques, and anytime you have a technique, I guess, really dovetails with how you drill it.
To be honest, with everything that we have going on during the week, and I would say, obviously, our base situations, our first down, our second and medium to longs, that's what we're going to practice the most, how to stop the run, going against their base run plays and how we're going to do that. The second most situation that we're going to practice is third and long. So, just from a practice standpoint, we'll do a little bit of on Tuesday in our third down period, our third and long. We had about 6 plays in there, but we're going to do it. And then Thursday is our big, review. And we actually do around a 7-minute period where it's instead of our 7-on-7, we'll bring the D line over and we'll work on some of our 6 and 7-man pressures against a scout O-line look. And it's rush the quarterback and let him throw. And it's kind of that 7-on-7 period where we're going to do anywhere between 5 and 7 plays of just our sticks coverage. And, other than that, as far as that, we spend so much time, we get 10 to 15 minutes of Indy, we're practicing so much fundamental stuff. We don't get a ton of time to practice, but the one drill that we do, and we talked about it before, is just really getting your eyes, is we'll set up, 4 guys, whether it's coaches or just other players at 5 yards. And I'm the quarterback and I have the ball, and we'll sit guys back there 10 yards, 4 across. And it's really just, it's keying the quarterback's eyes. It's keying his long arm. It's ball coming off. And now transitioning your eyes from the quarterback to whatever receiver we throw it to. And it almost turns into almost a pursuit drill where we can work some tackling, work what we call our shimmy compress, inside, outside, form tackles. And it's just a combination of training your eyes from quarterback to receiver, pursuing the right angles, and then putting your body in a great position to make a tackle. So that would be the base drill that we do. And I'm just a big believer in, let's not come up with 5-10 different drills to practice something. Let's get really good at the 1 to 2 drills that we're going to do and just keep working those. If you have, possibly 5 minutes to do it all week.
So, Coach, the next thing that comes to mind for me is just from a strategic standpoint, what have you seen as far as the ways that a team is going to try to attack this type of coverage, attack the sticks coverage, whether it's, I guess, finding a way to somehow get somebody over the top of that and open up something underneath? What's the typical approach or starting point, do you think, for an offense and what they're thinking to attack it?
Yeah, I mean, as we've been doing this for a couple of years, obviously, the coaches, we have great coaches in our conference, and they're coming up with different things. They're obviously studying. When we first, started implementing it, it was almost like a panic situation for a lot of the quarterbacks, and, seeing it for the first time, it's tough to deal with, but coaches are obviously coaching, and they're doing a much better job. But I think the biggest thing we see from, is the backside of 3x1, catching a quick slant, a lot of a vertical with an under, trying to switch guys as soon as possible in route combinations to try and get us to get picked off, with our coverage. And then the second thing would really be, some type of jailbreak screen. We call it a Rambo screen, but it's a wide receiver jailbreak screen if we're seeing that a little bit more. But for us, we bring so much pressure that, we practice screen games so much. It's built into what we do. It's our pursuit drill that we do every day. So for us, screens is just something we're so used to turning and running. And the big thing I always talk about, I coach the D-line, is, I'll talk to the guys and say, hey, raise your hand if you're making the tackle on the screen. And our guys know that no one raises their hand except for the D-line. They are responsible for stopping that screen. That first comes from pursuit. So, first thing would be, a quick under by number 2, number 3 vertical, try and get us to pick something in our man coverage, or just isolating backside and throwing a quick slant and kind of hoping that we miss a tackle. And that's happened. We let up a long touchdown this year. I think the only one in our 6 coverage, and it was really just a quick slant. We missed the tackle and he's gone. And I think a lot of coaches, that happens and they panic. You know what I mean? Well, hey man, if I was playing cover 3, if I was playing a soft cover 2, that wouldn't have happened. And I think you got to get away from that thinking, because, hey, you could let up a touchdown in cover 3. You could let up a touchdown in some type of palms coverage or something like that. But as a coach, it's that safe feeling, well, I didn't cause that touchdown to happen. You know what I mean? But for me, I think about all the positive things that happened from this coverage and from the pressure aspect of it. There's so many positive things that happen from it. Are bad things going to happen? Yes, they are, but they're going to happen in any type of base defense, regardless of what you play. But we find that there's more positive things that come out on our end by playing an aggressive attack type style defense that we do. And of course, trying to just practice and eliminate those things as much as possible, the bad things as much as possible. And those are things that we have to continue to practice day in and day out.
So, Coach, one of the things that I felt was a pretty effective strategy, and I started to see more and more of this, both kind of in the red zone area, where space is diminishing as far as the vertical attack, but also on 3rd and long. And I thought it was a tremendous idea as far as a strategy for especially a young quarterback who might struggle in those situations. And for lack of better terms, we talked about this on our Trends Day podcast, Charlie Coiner and I and Zach Dunn, who used to be our assistant here, but is now with the Cleveland Browns as an assistant. But we would see a lot of this second level screen. In other words, the offensive line is not releasing. They're blocking up, so there's no screen key from them. Receivers are releasing on the stem of the route and then turning into blockers, and the ball's thrown underneath to somebody running what looks like a shallow route, but it's legal. It's behind the line of scrimmage. I saw Notre Dame do it with kind of that Texas or that angle route. Same kind of thing, back stepped up, angled, caught the ball behind essentially the defensive line, but still behind the line of scrimmage. And now you got a guy running in space with blockers out ahead of him. So I don't know if you've seen that yet, but thoughts on how you might defend that?
Yeah, and I guess that's a little bit what I was talking about with our, what we call a Rambo screen. Absolutely. We actually got a good dose of that in one of our big games this year, our rivalry game. And, again, for us, it goes back to pursuit, you know what I mean? And I hate to say this because this is really a boring answer, but it goes on to, if they have 3 guys in the route combination and one guy's catching the screen, they have 2 blockers. You should have a one-on-one opportunity to tackle that guy. Okay. So it goes back to before is if we were playing straight man coverage and my eyes are just on my guy, now I go to, he does the screen, I'm flying up, I'm going to tackle him, and all of a sudden I get kicked out by that one receiver blocking me. That puts us at a disadvantage, because not only am I looking at that receiver, but the guy who's playing man coverage on the guy that's blocking is now being blocked. They're blocking 2 guys with 1. So the advantage for us is eyes on quarterback. Okay, ball is thrown. Our vision goes to that receiver. So instead of 1 or 2 guys, 2 possibly getting blocked by 1, we have 3 guys running to the football, if that makes any sense. So realistically, we should have 1 guy in a one-on-one situation for an open field tackle. Okay. If you can't make a tackle in the open field, one-on-one, that could happen in a quarter situation. If you're playing quarters, the 3-by-1, there's a hitch to the backside, you're playing off. It's no different if you're playing 0 or you're playing some type of solo coverage. If you miss that tackle, chances are he's going to get a good gain. But it really comes down for us is just, working on those fundamentals, getting off the cut block, getting off the stalk block, and really, really getting that pursuit from the D-line and the linebacker. So as much as we pressure, as much as we blitz, we work on blitz, redirect, and run. We do that every single day in our 7-on-7. So if a guy's pressuring in our 7-on-7, as soon as that quarterback throws the ball, they're taught to turn, run, and take 5 steps. They don't need to chase it down the field, but turn, run, and take 5 steps and go, and just getting in that mindset. But that's definitely a tough play to defend, in that coverage, because you lose some guys in the pursuit. But again, we go back and kind of say, look at the percentages, what's hurting us, what's not. And as long as we're coming out on top, which I think we led the country this year in third down percentage again. So as long as those numbers stay good and I still have a job, we'll continue to run it.
So, Coach, thinking back to the first time you're installing this, and I think this is true of any kind of defense, offense, any kind of play you're putting in for the first time, you go out and learn it, and then there's those things that pop up that you have to troubleshoot, and you may or may not have accounted for some of that stuff as you've learned it, but typical things that coaches are going to have to troubleshoot to play the sticks coverage on third and long.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, one of the biggest things early on in coverage-wise is, you may have noticed when I said if it's 3rd and 10, we're going to put them at 9. I think any guy in the secondary, it's tough to teach someone to play flat-footed. Any DB just naturally, what's the first thing a DB's taught? Shuffle, backpedal. So I think right off the bat, you get those guys who are going to initially take steps back. And those are they're wasted steps. They're false steps. They're not needed. They're the difference between a 3rd and 8 and a team getting 8 yards or getting 7 yards. So really playing that flat-footed, and we're not just going to sit there flat-footed. We're going to try and pop our feet. So that's what we talk to the guys about is just kind of sit there and pop up and down. Those little mini jumps, pop your feet, and that kind of keeps you from backpedaling. So if you need to start them 2 yards ahead of the sticks or 1 yard ahead of the sticks, and naturally they're going to maybe take a step back to get to the sticks before they pursue, that's a big thing. The eyes are the biggest transition. That's why we practice it so much, because I think every kid's taught, and with our base coverage, we play a good amount of man match. So we're constantly talking to our kids about eyes on the man and that. So transitioning your eyes from quarterback to throw, and then if it's not quick game, right, it turns into a 5-step progression for the quarterback. Now transitioning your eyes to your man and playing almost a catch man technique. So allowing that guy to gain ground on you, and then being able to transition to playing straight man-to-man from that alignment, which can be a tough thing for our guys, for really any guys playing in that situation. But again, you really got to kind of, obviously that's why the seniors do it better than the freshmen, because it's tough to really kind of trust what you're saying when you've never seen it in the game. When you do it in 7-on-7, or you do it against our offense when you can't sack the quarterback, very rarely are you seeing the ball come out as fast as it will in the game. So that's where your eyes can kind of start misleading you. You want to keep your eyes on the guy instead of really reading that quarterback. But once you get into the game situation, guys are always like, wow, they're really getting rid of that ball fast. And then, away from the coverage aspect is just teaching that blitz concept. And the important part for us is, we'll see some running backs leak out and screens of running backs and things like that, is they're trying to get those guys into the route concept. So working on our peel coverage, and, we usually have some type of, I wouldn't say fire spy guy, but some type of guy that's going to be some type of either delayed rusher or a lurker that will help out with those screens that we talked about earlier, and then, is eventually as responsible for that running back.
So, Coach, I guess to wrap things up today, I want to go back to stopping the run a little bit and just pick your brain as far as your thoughts on, I guess, the trends you've seen and how people try to attack, a pressure defense, a run pressure defense. Is there anything you've seen trending? It seems like everybody's at least trying this every week, or think that they might have success with it.
I've seen more dang tight ends and fullbacks than I have ever this year. To be honest with you, I think any odd front, anytime you can create extra gaps and different adjustments for a defense like ours, I think there's teams that I had never seen 21 personnel or 22 personnel or 32 personnel all season, and all of a sudden they come out against us and they do that. And that's kind of what we've been seeing. I've seen more 21 personnel and 12 personnel this year than I can remember in a really, really long time, and including some teams that we don't normally see that from. So I think guys just trying to get vertical push on us, and, we do so much movement and slanting, and And as much as we practice it, when you tighten down your splits and you just move north and south instead of east and west and a lot of different things like that, that's what teams have been trying to do against us. So that's going to be some added coaching for us and some different adjustments for us. And it won't change our philosophy, but we'll still try and get as many guys on the line of scrimmage and many guys into that backfield as humanly possible.
Well, and you guys have been doing a great job of it. It's fun to watch that week after week, you guys just being able to shut people down, and I'm going to continue to watch that. I've been watching you guys, since I first had you on the podcast, and, I appreciate you coming back on again and, working with us. It's always great to have those guys who come back and we're able to develop that relationship with, and appreciate all you're doing, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I listen to the podcast almost every time it comes out, and I learn a ton of information and a ton of different ideas, and just about a variety of different topics. So my pleasure on being here, and I appreciate you having me.
And for our coaches, if they haven't followed you yet, your Twitter handle.
Coach M Fox 1. I think I have that right. Coach M Fox 1.
And real quick, I know you guys are mostly in New York there, but at least for guys in the area, the places you recruit.
Yeah, I recruit Syracuse and Albany are my two main recruiting areas. Get out, and then, we'll split up some different areas and whatnot. And I recruited a little bit in Georgia. Had a few guys come out up here and up the North Country for last year. Had about 3 guys from Georgia. But Syracuse and Albany are my two recruiting areas, and hopefully we're trying to get the best of the best guys up there, and the coaches are doing a great job of helping us out as well. So appreciate that.
Well, Coach, you stay safe during this time, and best of luck to you and the Eagles in 2020.
All right. Thanks.
Coaches, again, I want to remind you of what we're doing with the football development model. Please push this down to your youth coaches. I think this is a great way for you to get some organization and structure beyond what you've already done. Check it out, all of our program development for youth football at fdm.usafootball.com. Again, check out our systems for blocking, tackling, and defeating blocks at footballdevelopment.com. If you register with your email, you get your choice of 3 free videos. There's some great things in there. I think things that as you get going again, you can get into the summer and maybe make up on some things that you might have lost if you had a spring ball, if you had time here in the spring to work on football. Some great drills for all those phases of contact. If you're enjoying the podcast, please head over to iTunes or your platform and give us a 5-star rate. If you have a minute, write a review. We really appreciate it, and we will read your review on our highlight show that we do at the end of the week.
Thanks for listening to USA Football's Coach and Coordinator Podcast. For more resources, visit the Coach Performance Center at usafootball.com.